Good afternoon, everyone. It is 5:30 p.m., about a little few minutes after. So, January 22nd, 2019. I would now like to call this meeting to order with the invocation and pledge allegiance. Please stand. Father God, we thank you for this opportunity to come together to do what is right and what is best for this community. And Father God, tonight we have a special request for we have a member of our family, Lord, that's not with us tonight, Councilman at Large, Position 5, Mr. Bill Mello. Father God, we want to pray for him. We want to pray for healing over his body. And we ask that you do everything you can to bring him back to us in even better shape than he was before, Father. We thank you for who you are, and we know that only you can heal. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item 3, motion. Item 3A, motion finding that the advance posting and notice requirements of Article 8.1200 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Orange, Texas have been met in relation to all minutes and pending ordinances and resolutions on this agenda, and that the reading of such items be confined to the captions as are agreed upon by the ordinances and resolutions. Do I have a motion? Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 4, approval of minutes. December 11th, 2018, Orange Economic Development Corporation meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 4B, January 8th, 2019, regular city council meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. On to item 5, citizen comments. At this time, comments will be taken from the audience on any subject matter, whether or not that item is on the agenda. All comments are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes for each speaker. Your comments are appreciated. As the Texas Open Meetings Act does not allow the council to respond to items not listed on the agenda, your comments will be duly noted by the council and forwarded to the appropriate department for prompt consideration. Please remember to state your name and that you have 3 minutes. First, I have the Honorable Miss Essie Belfield.
Greetings, I'm Essie Belfield, 1907 Link Street. I'm here to say thank you for naming the building after me. Thank you so very, very, very much. And I hope I can prove that I am a citizen of Orange. Not only of Orange, but I've been elected and appointed to state offices by 2 governors. So I will be with you all, getting y'all to ride around with me, because it's a lot needs to be done in this city. And I'm not through yet. I'm not back there, but I'm out here, and you can please believe me. You'll hear from me. Brother Spears, I went to your house. Did they tell you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
I will be with you. And I've forgotten what all I wanted to say. I forgot it. Seeing you get 80-some years old, you're lucky to remember your name. I had it all wrote down what I wanted to say, but I didn't forgot it. So the ones that are running, I'm glad to see you. You deserve another turn. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Belfield. All right, next I have Miss Julie Chisholm.
I'm Julie Chisholm, 704 10th Street in Orange. And I've always been a put your money where your mouth is type of person. I'm a person who doesn't expect anyone to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. And if I know of a successful diet plan, believe me, I'm going to share it with you. By the way, it's called intermittent fasting. And if I know of a good place to eat, I'm going to tell you about that. And if I know of a delightful place to live, I'm going to point you to my very own neighborhood right here in Orange, Texas. So by the same token, if I know of a proven plan to get out of debt and stay out of debt, you can bet your booties that I'm going to tell you about it, because I've been there and I've done that. Following a wonderful program, my husband and I were able in only a few years to get out from under a massive load of debt. and have essentially remained debt-free until today, and hopefully through the rest of our lives. But I also realize that what works for an individual will work for a city if the same principles are diligently applied. It's just like with the marriage, though. Everyone has to buy into it. You've got to all be on the same page or it won't work. And my hope and dream for the city of Orange is to begin applying these principles toward a goal of becoming debt-free and economically prosperous, fiscally capable of handling any eventuality without borrowing more money or depending on raising the taxes of the citizens. I want to tell you about a dear friend I have named Darla, whom I've known for many years. She is coincidentally a single mom, lives on a tight budget. But a couple of years ago, she became mayor of a very small city east of Dallas, and she came into office to find her little city saddled with what was for them a massive amount of debt, and not a penny to its name. Her first step was to stop all spending and look at every expenditure to determine if it was a want or a need, such as employee uniforms and overtime. And at risk of creating enemies, Darla also got rid of some employees who simply were not busy enough, and she contracted that work out. She instituted a rule that company trucks would stay parked at the city at night at City Hall, which cut the fuel bill in half because people weren't using them during the off hours. Within a year, she had a surplus of cash, and now, 18 months later, they're totally out of debt, 100% out of debt. When you look at the city of Como, Texas, they have no debt to their name anymore, and she will not borrow any more money under the city's name. Darla recently signed an ordinance that even prohibits someone from running for office who doesn't pay their bills on time. After all, if they can't manage their own money, what business do they have managing theirs? This is, by the way, where a lot of businesses get in trouble when people begin embezzling money, because they can't handle theirs, so they can't handle yours either. I'm not saying all these steps will work for Orange, Texas, but there are steps that have begun, I believe. And the creed that Darla adheres to is one of checks and balances, and it's $1 a day, 1 day at a time. And that she works for the taxpayers of the city. And I know that you guys realize that you work for the taxpayers too. So in conclusion, and in the spirit of putting my money where my mouth is, I would like to present each of you with a copy of Dave Ramsey's book, EntreLeadership. I know you are all both leaders and entrepreneurs of above average intelligence, and I believe that most of you truly have the best interest of Orange, Texas at heart. And I hope as you read through this book, you'll take to heart the principles outlined in it. I pray that you'll implement the rules in both your personal lives and for the good of our city. And I hope that you personally find success and freedom in living a life free from the slavery of debt, because I believe that every one of you have been put here in this council for such a time as this, as you lead our city to become more prosperous. Because as the Bible tells us, we are to owe no man but to love. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
my
Thank you.
husband would help me here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank
I
you.
really hope y'all enjoy it.
Thank you. Very,
Thank you.
very kind. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, I'll add you to the bottom of the list. Next, I have Ms. Hillary Gravitt. Ms. Belfield, I'll add you to the bottom. Ms. Hillary Gravitt, please.
Good evening. I just want to ask that everyone please mark your calendars for Mardi Gras weekend. That will be held right here in downtown Orange. It will be February 22nd and February 23rd. Kicking off the weekend on February 22nd, we will have a motor parade beginning at 6 p.m. And in the motor parade, we will allow Jeeps, trucks, gas-powered golf carts, motorcycles, and side-by-sides. And in this parade, we do ask that you please do not have any horses, dogs, or pets at any of the events for Mardi Gras weekend. And following the parade, we will have Keith Frank begin live in concert at 7:30 p.m. at the Riverfront Pavilion. And on February 23rd, beginning at 3 p.m., we will have a Munchkin Parade. And beginning at 6 p.m., we will have the Crew of Crews Parade. So for any additional information, you can contact the Convention and Visitors Bureau office at 409-883-1011. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Mr. Henry Lowe.
Henry Lowe, 106 West Dewey Avenue. I'm looking at the beautiful smiling faces before me. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad you all are back. I will be saying a special prayer for my dear friend, Bill Miller over here. And I just want to tell you all that the citizens that I'm running into, they are on fire with you all. They believe that you're going to move this city forward, and they are ready to move with you,
Great.
including me.
All right, thank you.
I will not be criticizing much. And I just want to thank you all for putting up with me. I enjoy you all, and let's go.
All right,
Thank you.
Mr. Lowe.
Thank you very much.
And one more time, the Honorable Miss Essie Belfield.
Please excuse me, y'all, but like I said, I didn't bring my book. And when you get a certain age, you're lucky to remember your name. I want to ask y'all again to put that orange on that water tower on Highway 90.
Knew that was
Now,
coming.
you put it on, and then people pass there and go on down to 42 or 62 or somewhere looking for orange. We need it, fixing to have the Mardi Gras parade and everything, so we need that orange put on the water tower.
She changes it every time. Okay, is there anyone else who'd like to address the council at this time? All right, if not, I will close citizen comments and move on to item 6, public hearing. Item 6A, conduct a public hearing on an annexation petition by Dan Creel on behalf of Ben Nevis West LTD for a 1.285 acre tract of land lying in the Claiborne West Survey, abstract number 27, Orange County, Texas, being out of and a part of that called 2.50 acre tract of land described in instrument to JMJR Investments, LLC of record in clerk's file number 329200 of the official public records of Orange County, Texas. Mr. Knopf.
Yes, sir. This is a petition for annexation of a vacant area that's less than a half mile in width. There's no occupants here. It's a square here near Davis Road. And the applicant, the owner, is requesting annexation because they would like to put up a billboard. And TxDOT will not allow it unless it's inside the city limits. So this is a public hearing to take comments from the public on whether or not the city should consider annexing it. Later on, you will have a discussion item on whether or not to grant the petition. So this is the public hearing to hear the public's comments on whether to annex this little square of land right here into the city limits.
What are they trying to build there?
Now, if we did annex something like that, I know this is a free country and you have the right to free speech. What could they potentially put on this billboard?
Right.
Like they can't say Orange City Council can all burn in hell or anything like that, right?
Well, yeah, there is freedom of speech.
I don't want to annex land. I annex this shit.
Yes, it does. The city
Have a
cannot
picture of
regulate
Pat
speech.
Pullen and me hanging out. You know?
Yeah, there have been lots of court cases about that one, and.
What are they trying to put there?
A billboard.
I mean, there's no store, or, are they trying to put a business or some sort
It's
there?
just a billboard for anybody to rent, that may.
That'd be great.
may
We could
wanna
turn around and rent it
billboard.
and say, welcome to Orange or something on there. Miss Belfield would like that.
No, I say y'all, it's good for them to ask that, because let me tell you something.
Oh, we can't.
Oh,
it is public.
We had, say how high to put those flags down there, and they're up above where they're supposed to be down on ML Kingston Road.
You have to be careful. You have to be careful.
Find out before you post it or.
That's true. You have to be careful.
Yes, you have to be careful.
Yes.
Where are we in relation to the edge of the city limits?
The city limits run down.
We go down the
I-10.
freeway.
Yeah, way down.
Yes, it runs down I-10, and then when you get to 1442, then it takes in that Crawdad store at 1442.
Okay.
It runs down the either side of I-10.
Would that make it a commercial residence? What would that make it if we allowed it?
What we would have to do is go before the Planning and Zoning Commission and get their recommendation for a zoning district. Now, that area of I-10 and then other property near there is zoned Interstate Development Corridor District. So that's probably the most appropriate zoning district is IDC.
I think according to the questions asked about what they put on the billboard is governed by the state of Texas on these billboards on the interstates. So I think we'll be okay on that. But it's a very profitable business to have a billboard, especially the electronic ones now, because they can add so many clients. And the visualization of it's so much better than the old billboards. But I would think that it's more of a position for, you know, to help our businesses and stuff. So, good
Being
idea.
that the Seventh-day Adventist is across the street, would that have any impact on things that they may want to put on the billboard?
No.
No?
The only thing that would impact is if they wanted to do beer or wine or alcohol sales. You know, they could not do
At
that
the church?
within so many feet of the church.
Oh, okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I
But,
was
you
getting
know,
ready to go back to
A billboard is
church.
not going to sell alcoholic
Okay.
beverage. I would
Okay.
just,
Okay, thank you.
sure.
Okay, are there any more comments on the public hearing? Yes, Mr. Lowe?
I got in trouble about this very billboard deal. I spoke a little loud, then too quick and almost got sued. I made the comment that it was for that Confederate memorial. And the owners said if I didn't have proof, I'd better back off. So I had to back off. So I would just urge you all to say no. There are enough professional billboard companies out there to provide all the advertisement that we need.
I'm just concerned myself with not knowing exactly what their intentions are. If it's not a particular business or or professional, or, I mean, you know, those that put up those billboards. If it's just a particular person and they're wanting to do a billboard, I mean, what is the message?
Mr. Knopf, who's the name of the owner of the
Are they?
land?
I'm sorry?
I did not
Who
know
is the
that.
owner of the land?
The owner is
Did not know that.
Ben Davis West.
Ben Davis West.
Uh-huh.
Does he, thank you. Does he own any
Ben Davis-
businesses in
Ben
Orange?
Davis West Limited, that's what it is. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Does he own any businesses in Orange?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know if he does or not.
All right. Do you know if he is affiliated with the I don't know how to word it, the flags on MLK?
No, I don't have any information on that, whether he is or not.
Okay.
I don't know.
Research it.
Is Mr. West in
See
the
why
audience? Is Mr. West out here today? Could you tell us a little bit about it?
The petition's from Dan Creel.
Good evening.
Mr.
I'm Dan
West.
Krill. I'm president of Ben Nevis West. I'm also the executive vice president for Signad, the billboard company. And if you all, can you rotate that around just a hair to the west? See that sign? That's our sign right there. And the reason we bought the land is we want to take that sign down and put a nicer steel sign up. In
Okay.
order to do it for the state, I have to be in the city to do it. So we bought the land to get it annexed into the city so that we could take that sign down and put a nice steel sign up.
Okay,
That's-
okay.
That was our whole plan.
You'll be
And then-
advertising just your company?
Pardon?
You'll be advertising just your company?
No, it's for local businesses.
Okay.
So
Like-
how do you regulate who gets to put their sign up, or who you?
Well, the regulations are just, it's mainly business, who's going to pay for it.
Okay,
Typically, it's going to be businesses along I-10.
okay.
Or sometimes they'll come from the primary streets that are just off of I-10. Might be a McDonald's or a hotel or a restaurant. That's typically who our customers are. Truck stops, maybe a movie theater. you know.
Okay.
So
But it doesn't have to be anybody from this local business right here. You can.
typically it is. Most of our
Typically it
business
is,
is
but-
local business. We're a family-owned business
Okay.
out of Houston. We're not like the big companies like Lamar or Clear Channel where half of their business comes from national business. About 10% of our business comes from national. Most of ours is 90% local. So this is the space for that sign would be primarily occupied by local businesses.
Okay.
Do you have any signs that are in Orange County as of this time?
Well, we have probably 12 to 15 up and down I-10.
Can you give me a
And
couple of
on
locations?
actually, I think it's 87, does 87 run through
Yes.
town? I'm sorry, I deal with the whole state of Texas
87
and
and
Louisiana,
16.
so,
Can
yeah.
you give me a couple of locations?
I'm
So
sorry?
I can go by 'em. Can you give me a couple of locations of them?
Well, there's this one, and if you go down I-10 about from this location here, I want to say maybe half a mile, I have another one on the same side of the road,
Okay.
which will show up on that Google Earth. It's going to be to the west.
Will your sign be digital?
I'm sorry?
Will the sign that you use, would it be digital? Are you going,
Well, that's up to y'all. Digitals, we have to go through 2 permitting processes to get a digital sign. First is y'all, the city. The city has to approve it. And then we have to get a state permit. We can't get the state permit without the city approval. We have to have a permit from the city to do it.
Okay.
So, what we haven't looked at your ordinances as far as digital. We're kind of taking it one step at a time, you know, because we also buy land for commercial development, and that's the other reason for the annexation. It's not just for the billboard. It doesn't make any sense for me to buy that land for that billboard.
Right.
You know, I've got to sit here and develop it and sell it and do something with it,
Sure.
other than just the billboard.
okay.
Where do you have some more signs on 87 at?
There's one just outside of Orange. There's
North, 87?
south,
South?
like going south.
Okay.
Yeah. There's what is that business out there? He's a metal fabricator
Okay.
on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
It's not on his property, but on the property next door.
Next to it. Okay.
Yeah.
This is the public hearing.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, another thing, we're gonna have to go back and read about,
We need your name and address, please.
huh?
Ms. Belfield, can you give us your name and address, please?
Esty Belfield, 1907 Lake Street, Orange, Texas. We have to make sure, I was looking at some signs that were put up, we had a height that we wanted the signs to be. And we need to go back and check the books and see how tall, signs should be in the city. Because I looked at some signs and they're not right. Sorry about that, but I am who I am.
Yes,
Let
ma'am.
me just say something about height. The state regulates height also. It's at 42.5 feet. So just,
Okay.
and we have to adhere to their rules as well.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
So
Have to
Yes,
comply.
it's layered.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
You bet.
Thank you for coming forward.
Thank you
We
so
appreciate
much.
it. You had us
I'm
on
more
a
comfortable
suspense.
now,
Yes.
now that you have
Yes, thank
stood
you.
up here to tell us about it.
Mayor's safe.
Yeah, we're not going to hell. Okay, at this time, I will close the public hearing and move on to item 7, presentation. Presentation by financial advisor and bond counsel on proposed tax and revenue certificates of obligation, Series 2019. Mr. Guy Goodson, Germer PLLC.
Thank you, Mayor. I will address the council from here. Mr. James Gilly with U.S. Capital Advisors, your financial advisors here, and if he needs to address any questions from council, he can go to the podium. You have in your packet several documents relative to a proposed certificate of obligation issue under the Certificate of Obligation Act, which the city has used before for capital financing. The purpose of this particular certificate of obligation would be the projects that the council discussed at a public hearing back in late 2018 and had citizen input, and then council members working through that public hearing gave to your manager and to Mr. Gilly and myself a list of items. And under the Certificate of Obligation Act, you have 2 items before you for possible consideration tonight, 3 items, but the first 2 are your agenda item 7. I'll read that briefly. Under federal tax law, if you spend any money on any of these projects before you would actually receive bond proceeds, which is later this spring in April per the timetable that is in your packet, then that enables you all to be reimbursed yourself for any expenditures you would make for the projects before bond proceeds were received. So that's the purpose of agenda item number 7. Agenda item number 8 is the ordinance, much as you've adopted several times in the last decade for certificates of obligation, and that authorizes the first step only, which is the publication of a notice of intent to issue the debt. The Certificate of Obligation Act requires you to put that notice of what the projects are intended to fund in your newspaper of general circulation once a week for 2 consecutive weeks, and then you cannot move forward with considering an ordinance until 30 days after the first publication date. That's why on your timetable you see 2 publication dates, this coming Saturday and the following Saturday in the Orange Leader, and then you'll notice there is a period when other work is being done on the bond project, but on the Certificate of Obligation project, but no action to actually adopt an ordinance would occur until more than 30 days after this coming Saturday. So that is why the timetable is spaced such as it is in that time period, and as the manager has already reviewed, along with your finance director and other staff members, and Mr. Gilly, Ms. Leverett, and myself, you present a offering document called a preliminary official statement, which outlines the proposed projects, the terms, and gives a lot of demographic and economic and financial information relative to the city. And that information will then be placed into a final form for distributing to the market for the sale of these certificates, which Mr. Gilly's firm has planned, if you proceed, with a notice of sale that would provide for the issuance of this debt and a premium. The purpose of that premium primarily, as Mr. Gilly was trying to outline at the public hearing, and I think we got busy, and I want to just complete that, and he can address it further, is that it is very possible that these bonds will sell at a premium, that is, a price above the amount of bonds that you're planning to issue, which will then be sufficient to cover your cost of issuing the bonds, so that we understand that the goal is that there be not less than the amount of proceeds that you ask to be in this for projects, so the cost of any issuance related cost would be paid out of that premium. So it is, again, the anticipation that Mr. Gilly and them, as they move closer to a sale date, would provide in that notice of sale an amount that would cover those costs and ensure that you have the $8 million of proceeds that you wish to have for the anticipated projects. And again, it would be our hope that some of the projects might come in under the very thoughtful estimates, that so that you would be able to use those for some of the projects that were not considered for funding at that particular public hearing.
I have a question. The government shutdown is affecting a lot of things. Is it going to affect the bond market slowing down, or will it have any effect on what we're trying to do right now?
I think Mr. Gilly is in the bond market more than I, and so I'd let him answer that question. But from a standpoint, from the administrative steps that the city must undertake, this will not have an effect on the steps we're moving forward towards the sale of bonds. As far as the pricing of the bonds in the marketplace, I'll let Mr. Gilly attempt to answer the question.
Thank you. Again, James Gilly with U.S. Capital Advisors. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Councilmember, you brought up an excellent question. It is conceivable that under some offerings, the federal shutdown could affect a bond offering. But in this type of situation, we don't anticipate the government shutdown having any effect on the city's ability to effectively market and offer these certificates of obligation. These are investors, private investors, Wall Street, the type of investors, large financial institutions that are interested, that we expect to be interested in purchasing this offering. So we expect a good showing from these investors. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mayor, the only other additional item I didn't mention is the third item there is our firm is not engaged on a long-term engagement as Mr. Gilly's firm is, so you engage us simply as bond counsel on a per series. So there's the three items: the resolution to meet federal tax law, the notice of intent ordinance, and then the possible engagement of our firm. Those are the three agenda items that follow under the next three items of 8 through 10.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you, Mr. Gilliam.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item 8, resolution. And we asked Mr. Knopf to go ahead and use our new TV to help you go along with our agenda. So thank you, Mr. Knopf. Item 8, consider and possible action to approve a resolution expressing official intent to reimburse with tax-exempt obligation proceeds for costs associated with contractual obligations and improvements to city facilities. Guy Goodson, Germer, PLLC.
Again, we simply encapsulated all of the projects under the term city facilities for ease of description in this document. But in the notice of intent, we went through a much longer description to cover both streetscaping and a number of other projects that the council wanted to approve. So we, if you want to proceed then with the certificate of obligation issue, then we recommend adoption of the resolution.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Resolution passes. On to item 9, ordinance. Consider an ordinance authorizing and approving publication of notice of intention to issue City of Orange, Texas tax and revenue certificates of obligation, Series 2019, the certificates, and a maximum principal amount not to exceed $8 million, authorizing the mayor, city manager, city secretary, city staff, city financial advisors, legal counsel, and bond counsel to take all actions deemed necessary in connection with the issuance and sale of such certificates, and providing an effective date. Mr. Goodson and Germer, PLLC.
Mr. Gilly can also speak to this. This obviously does add additional certificate of obligation to the city's debt service, but based upon the payments that you've made on other debts, as I recall, Mr. Gilly can correct me, the anticipation is that based on the anticipated interest rate for these and the timing of which they will be payable, there is not an anticipated need for any tax increase, but in fact, to the contrary, these would be worked in under the debt service component of your tax rate now without increase. And that is the goal that the council gave us before the public hearing. So just wanted to sort of restate that, since that people in the audience today may not have been here when that directive was given to U.S. Capitol Advisors and to us.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ordinance passes. On to item 10, discussion and action. It's consideration and possible action to engage Germer PLLC as bond counsel. Mr. Guy Goodson, Germer PLLC.
We have the same engagement letters we've used with you in the past in the file, and we've appreciated the opportunity to do work for the city in several levels, and so we have to enter into this engagement under our requirements to meet the requirements as a municipal bond lawyer. So we just ask for your consideration of the engagement.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. On to item 11,
Thank you.
ordinances. Thank you, Mr. Goodson. Consider an ordinance of the City Council of Orange, Texas, authorizing participation with other Entergy service area cities in matters concerning Entergy Texas Incorporated at the Public Utility Commission of Texas in 2019, authorizing the hiring of lawyers and rate experts, authorizing the city's participation to the full extent permitted by law at the Public Utility Commission of Texas, finding that the meeting complies with the Open Meetings Act, and declaring an effective date. First reading, January 8th, 2019. Mr. Nall.
Yes, sir. This is the ordinance that would authorize employing Lawton Law Firm, whom we have used for many years to represent us before the Public Utility Commission, as well as other cities on rate cases before the PUC.
Okay, do I have a
So
motion?
moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 11B. Consider an ordinance amending certain portions of Appendix A of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Orange, Texas, pertaining to garbage and trash collection services. Ms. Zito.
Yes, good evening, Council and Mayor. The diesel, our sanitation rates are tied to the diesel prices, and in November, I came to y'all because the diesel prices had gone over $3. We had to invoke the 1% surcharge. Well, now they're below $3. So we're gonna give back that 1% surcharge. So, starting March the 1st, because we have to have, this is the first reading, we have to have 2 readings, our sanitation rates will go down. For 1 cart for residential, 21 cents, additional cart, 14 cents, and commercial, 29 cents.
All right. Well, thank you.
That's good news.
Good news.
Yes. Okay,
Thank
do I
you.
have a motion?
A motion.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Ito. Item 12, resolutions. Consider a resolution approving an EDC infrastructure grant agreement with Jadco Development Incorporated for the project site located at Interstate 10 and 16th Street, Orange, Texas, 77630, in an amount not to exceed $350,000 for the purpose of economic development. Mr. Trahan.
Yes, sir, Mayor, Council, thank you. This is a follow-up to an agenda item that was discussed in great detail at the EDC meeting. And basically, the main components of this agreement includes the following. It'll be environmental abatement, the cleanup associated with that, demolition, and tank removal. And what we're talking about is the 16th Street property that was formerly known as a Quick Stop gas station location just north of the City of Orange elevated water tower. As a result of the developer acquiring this property, this particular land tract will complement the already previously announced Chick-fil-A project that will be going in directly across from Monica Brothers. This gives us an opportunity as a city to work with the developer to potentially consider up to 4 new projects at that particular site. So this is our commitment to the developer in terms of being supportive of development here in the City of Orange, and it gives us the opportunity to participate in addressing a substandard property that will result in a new project. Thank you.
Do I have a motion?
Motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Item 12B, consider a resolution ordering a general election for the purpose of electing a council member for Place 2, Single Member District 2, a council member for Place 4, Single Member District 4, and a council member Place 5 at large, providing for the date, hours, ballot, early voting clerk, and notice of election, providing for polling places, judges, and pay, providing for other matters relating to the city election, ordering a runoff election, if necessary, to be held on June 15th, 2019, and determining that the meeting at which this resolution is passed is open to the public as required by law. Mr. Nall.
Yes, sir. Items B through E deal with the upcoming city council election to be held on May 4th. And these are the same resolutions that we've done in past years. The difference in this year's election is that we will be using voting machines instead of paper ballots as in the past. And I'd like Tina Barrow to briefly explain the voting machines and that process.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This year, we had, the county have purchased what they call express votes. They are not DREs as far as only electronic voting. We kind of want to wait until we got kind of like a hybrid between a paper ballot and a DRE voting machine. So these right here, I brought some papers. To show you what it actually is. It's just kind of like a screen, kind of like the voting machines that we have for the disabled voters to vote on now, but you will have several of them there for voters to vote on. They will actually go up to a check-in station, a poll book. They will go in and the poll worker will actually look the voter up as normal, and they will look the voter up. When they find the voter, they will actually stick in this card right here. It will actually print the ballot style that is assigned to the voter. The difference is on these elections, instead of having different tables for the different entities, when you go to vote, you will be eligible to vote for everything that you're required to vote for. Like if you're voting for the city, and you're also able to vote for the school. So on your screen, it will bring all that information up. So this will print on the top their voting style, which will be tailored to each voter. And then they will take this, after signing the information, they'll take this to that express vote. They will actually stick this in there. It will bring up the ballot style for that particular voter. It will bring it on the screen. They will vote on the screen. It will take this in, and as you see, it will print out everything that they voted for. So you still have a paper trail. Okay? And then they will take this and they will put it in the ballot box.
This gives them the chance to also look it over one more time to make sure it's correct.
Correct. And if there's a problem, they can actually bring it to us and say, hey, something's wrong, I didn't mean to vote for this person, which they can do that on the screen too. But actually, kind of like you did with the paper ballots, you make a mistake and you bring it to us, you have up to 3 times that we can give you a new one, okay? We'll cancel that one or void that one. Stick it in an envelope, get that person to sign, and then they'll be handed a new one. So they'll take this after they vote, they will bring it and put it in the ballot box. The ballot box will then be handed over to our office to be locked up, and it will be counted by our voting machine that we count the counting ballots with. So we will not require hand counting anymore for the judges. It will all be done by a central counting machine.
And this
I
was
have a
used
question.
already? This was used in the county election?
No, we have not used the count in the county yet.
Will the county offer some type of, like workshop or something to allow people to come in and practice, or
We just got,
one-on-one?
kind of learned a lot about it this last week. They're working on, actually text one of the vendors the other day, today, and ask them if we could get some kind of a demo election.
Yes.
So that's what I would like. I'm going to do that and try to get, before the election, get something set up, whether it be at Commissioner's Court, at our office, I'm just not sure what, maybe at all of it, and bring it and let the public come in and play with it.
So these voting machines were purchased by the county?
Yes, they were. We have to, the machines that we have for disabled voters, they were breaking down really bad. And so I didn't have enough to go around for the next county election. So we purchased these and to replace what we have. They do no longer make the ones that we have, so we have to upgrade. And this is basically the upgrade to what we have without going totally electronic.
How many machines are there?
I have 34.
34?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
2 of the 3 positions are specific districts. How do you keep the specific district voter separate from the at-large voter? Because if somebody is in my district and they want to vote for me, they can't also vote for Brad's district because they live in a different district.
Right.
Someone that's in the at-large district can vote for both of me and someone else, but they can't. So how do you separate?
What we do is get a ballot from her. I will fill out forms to send to the vendor that actually programs these and let them know that at large is this person, but you're only in district this and you're only in district this.
So the machine will know.
So that when they program it, they send it to me to okay it. After they've programmed what I say to put on the ballots, they send it back to me for me to review. I will send it to Trish, let her review to make sure that all these ballots are intact. And then when she signs off of it, I sign off of it, then it goes to the vendor and goes to the programmer to program the machines. And then we also test it when it comes in.
The machine would know what district I'm in by my name and address, right?
Correct. In the voter registration file, all together, everybody in Orange County, you have codes in your name. So puts you in whatever district, whatever voting box you're in. So you have city codes, you have orange, you have all kinds of codes.
It's going to separate you by your
So it wouldn't even show Councilman Purnell's name on my ballot. If somebody's in my district, it would just show my name and whatever else was on the ballot. It wouldn't show her name.
To the people that are eligible to vote for her, they will only see her.
Right.
Yours, you'll only see you, and
My
that
ballot
large
comes
if
out
possible.
different from someone else in another district.
Correct.
Okay.
And they will also see whatever school or other entity that they are eligible to vote for on their ballot.
Gotcha.
It just has to be programmed from the backside,
Right.
and then the programmer will program it from there.
Mr. Barron, thank you for coming. There's always been, especially recently, people and voter scrutiny on these machines. There's been numerous incidents. Who has the integrity? I see it says EA certified 2018, but who is in actual charge of the integrity of the machine?
As far as like the vendor that's actually
To
programming?
make sure that if I vote for A, the machine doesn't change it to B. Of course, I get the chance to look at it.
Correct.
But who, if you have a problem with the machine, who's in charge of that?
Me.
Okay. So are they certified and secured at that point?
Yes, and that's the reason why it's a EA Elections Association certificate. These are certified, secure. That's why we went with these.
Okay.
Actually, but like I said, we just didn't, they've had so many problems since 2006 about people that are having only electronics. You have no paper trail. And that was the problem with us not going to that right away. We still wanted to do it. Well, now that they've come out with this hybrid that actually has a way, because if there is a problem, and I'm saying there's always a problem, nothing is perfect. You'll always we can always go back to this and put in, because when you take it out, you're just like your paper ballots. You can take that paper ballot and look at it and make sure that you've marked everything that you want. And so if this does not mark what you want, then you can bring it to us and say, hey, or I didn't see so-and-so on my ballot, or whatever question that you have. And a lot of times that is because they're not in that district. There's just all kinds of questions. If they have a problem, and since this is our first election, we're having the vendor actually come down and someone actually supervise over all of us, okay? The machines, if we have any problems or whatever. And most people, which is a great thing, a lot of ballots, we have, we're doing it baby steps.
Okay.
Because we don't have the funds to do it all
But you'll
right
still
now.
have the paper back up, dropped into the box that you can recount.
Correct. Yes, it'll all be able to be recounted.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank
Do I
y'all.
have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Resolution passes. On to item 12C. Consider a resolution authorizing the interim city manager to enter into a joint election agreement with the city of Pinehurst, the West Orange Cove CISD, and the Little Cypress Mauriceeville CISD as authorized by the Texas Election Code. Mr. Nall.
Yes, sir. This is what we've passed before in previous elections, and we would recommend that you pass this resolution.
Yes, so moved. We do this every election. So.
Yes, sir. It helps save money too.
Yeah.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Resolution passes. On to item 12D. Consider a resolution entering into an agreement with the Orange County Elections Administrator to provide election services for the city of Orange. Mr. Nall.
Yes, sir. This authorizes the city to have an agreement with the Orange County for the county to run the election.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 12E, consider a resolution entering into an agreement with the Orange County Elections Administrator for the lease of ES&S Express voting system machines for voting in the city of Orange's elections. Mr. Nall.
Yes, sir. This would let the city lease the actual voting machines that Ms. Barrow described for the election.
Okay.
We have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 12F. Consider a resolution authorizing the interim city manager to enter into an agreement with Bancorp South Equipment Finance to provide financing for the purchase of a Peterbilt 348 chassis grapple truck on behalf of the city of Orange. Ms. Zito.
Yes. Council, on October 23rd, y'all approved the quote for the new grapple truck and authorized staff to move forward. Well, we went out for proposals for the financing, for a municipal lease financing. We posted, advertised, followed the proper procedures. On December the 6th, we opened the proposals. The selection committee reviewed them, scored the proposals, and we recommend awarding this municipal lease financing agreement to Bancorp South Equipment Finance.
And that was 35 or 36,000
The,
for the fire chassis, fire truck chassis?
for the grapple, no.
Oh,
Was that
we're on the fire truck chassis, right?
No, this was a
Grapple truck.
grapple
I
truck.
apologize, I'm one.
No, it was more than
Yeah,
that.
I'm one.
Yeah.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Thank you, Ms. Ito.
Thank
I
you.
also want to thank Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Patrick Pullen. This is one of the ideas that he came up with, and it's going to help us start to get rid of this trash and debris that we see in the neighborhood. So thank you, Mr. Pullen.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, 12G, consider a resolution authorizing the City of Orange, Texas to accept a grant from the Firehouse Sub Foundation in the amount of $12,148.34 for the purchase of 2 gear washers. Ms. Brown.
Mayor, Council, we applied for this grant and we was graciously awarded the grant, so we're just asking that you allow us to accept it, and this will put a washer in every one of our stations.
Okay,
Awesome.
so that's great.
Free money.
Yeah.
Can't
I like
beat that.
We can accept it. I'll make a motion.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Thank you, Ms. Brown. Item 12H, consider a resolution acknowledging additional contractors to the approved and qualified list pool for home elevation and lifting services for disaster recovery grant programs on behalf of the City of Orange. Ms. Brown.
Last time, I think we had 2 vendors that applied. This time, we had an additional 5, but only 4 of them were qualified. So we have an additional, we have a total of 6 vendors now that will be able to help with the mitigation projects throughout the city as far as the home elevation projects.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you. Okay.
And
Thank
you
you.
vetted these vendors?
Sir?
They've been vetted?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And will there be a list available for the public?
Yes, sir.
Or
We're
will
gonna-
it be accompanying with the application?
Well, what we're doing is we're going to have, we've had one public information, and we're going to host another one possibly on the 28th at the church on 16th Street. And we invite the vendors to come in, and they can set up a little booth, and so the individuals will have a chance to go talk to the vendors themselves.
Yeah, I was at the last
That'll
one,
be
very
good.
informative.
Yeah.
I like the company.
So we'll do another one of those.
Oh, that'll be good. Thank you.
Okay, do I have
Make
a
a
motion?
motion? So moved.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Thank you, Chief Brown.
Thank you.
Item 12I, consider a resolution authorizing the interim city manager to enter into an agreement with the Union Pacific Railroad for use of their right-of-way. Mr. Wolf.
Yes, Mayor, Council, thank you. This is a resolution that would allow the interim city manager to execute a permit that we requested from the Union Pacific Railroad that would allow one of our contractors to do a directional bore of a 3-inch diameter PVC pipe under the railroad tracks for the purpose of routing a fiber optic line, a communication line for the city from the east side to the west side.
I think they've been all through our neighborhoods. Is that the yellow pipe the guys have been laying?
Well, that's gas.
That's-
Our pipe may be probably white.
Okay.
Yeah, I have fiber optic going into Roseville right now.
Okay, do we have
I
a
move.
motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Consider a resolution awarding a contract to Simco Enterprises LTD in the amount of $243,632.43 for the repair of West Bluff Road. Mr. Wolf.
Yes, Mayor, back in December, we advertised for bid and accepted a bid, opened one bid, actually. We only had one bid, one contractor to respond. We advertised the FEMA scope of work for the repair of the certain damage to the West Bluff Road as a result of the hurricane, the 2017 disaster, which was a combination of Hurricane Harvey and then followed by the immediate disaster of the Sabine River flood. So this was a FEMA prepared scope of work document. We advertised it, we opened the bid, we indicated to FEMA what the bid amount was, and they told us to move forward.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Wolf, I have a question. Will this bring us closer to getting this road turned back over to the county and out of the city hands?
If you recall, Councilman Childs, we, back right before Hurricane Harvey hit in 2017, we were working on certain damage to West Bluff Road as a result of the Sabine River flood of 2016. It qualified as a FEMA project. We made an offer to the county. The county accepted our offer to do several things. That we would, number one, spend that money for the repair, that FEMA money for the repair of the road, which we were in the act of doing when Hurricane Harvey hit us. That we would take $100,000 that we negotiated with a certain pipeline company that caused damage to the road, and we have that money in the bank. We said we would offer that to you because the county can make that money go further than the city can. The county has certain road building equipment and stuff like that, so we thought that would be an advantage for the county to use the money. And then we would offer a de-annexation of that stretch of West Bluff Road. We had presented it to the Commissioners Court. They indicated that they were in favor of doing that from the documentation that we have. It never was actually voted on because we were interrupted. We're now getting back on that same track where we were taken off as a result of the hurricane. So once we spend this money, and we have to spend this FEMA money, we can't transfer it over.
Yes, sir.
We have to spend it. Once we spend, because they're going to audit us, they're not going to audit the county. Once we spend this money, then we'll pick back up with that same offer. And hopefully Commissioners Court, and just from what I understand, I think there's continue to be in favor of doing that.
That would be fantastic if we could get that road back into the county's hands.
Yes.
And Mr. Wolf, the distance of the city limits is what out there? I knew it at one time, I can't remember. The distance that we have city limit out there. I know it goes county, city of Orange, and then it goes back county. We had annexed it decades ago.
Yeah, I'd have to
How much?
It's
not very long.
I'd have to use a map to.
It's less than a mile, right? Probably.
Well, it's a continuation of it's all continuous. It's West Bluff Road comes down to Elmira Road, comes down to State. It's State Highway maintained 3/4 up Elmira Road, and then it stops state maintenance. And then
But on West Bluff, it's just.
But West Bluff is from Elmira Road to the banks of the Sabine River. Okay. It's probably 1.5 miles to 1.75 miles in there.
In case y'all don't know, we own West Bluff Road, but we own no taxing entity on either side, so we have no taxes to pay to repair the road every time it gets broke.
Yes, exactly.
That's where I'm headed with this, is we need to get this road repaired and get it off of our books.
Right.
You know, the city limit runs up one side of the road and back down the other side.
Yes,
we
sir.
don't have the benefit of collecting taxes from the people that front the road. That they're in the county. The city only runs the road right of way, and we have to maintain it. Out there.
We don't need that.
Good job, Mr. Wolf.
Thank you so much.
That
Great
comment
job.
has been on our page.
Make a
for
motion.
several
Motion, or second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Resolution passes. On to item 12K, consider a resolution authorizing the interim city manager to enter into an agreement with Fitz and Shipman Incorporated for an amount not to exceed $123,300 for professional engineering services for the Eagle Point Boulevard project. Mr. Wolf.
Yes, Mayor, Council, thank you. I'm pleased to bring to you a need that we have to develop a boulevard, as it were, out at the Eagle Point development site. It's 2,630 feet in length. It will be used, and it was approved by Orange Economic Development, but it will be for the future development of that area south of I-10, east of State Highway 62, west of Gloria Drive, in that area right there. And I've been with the city now going on 20 years. The only other road project that the city has done in my tenure here as Public Works Director has been the extension of Park Avenue, or the Harry Reid Boulevard, when we developed the new boat ramp.
Wow.
So I'm real pleased to see that we have another major street, boulevard, major route that is a city project, not a subdivision development.
All right. Thank you.
And this is for the engineer. This is to hire the engineering firm of Fitz and Shipman to do the detailed design work.
So a second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Item 13, discussion action. Consider a motion declaring a 2012 Dixie Chopper serial number 12CW3360GNGWW0074, a 2012 Dixie Chopper serial number, a 2010 Ford Expedition unit, a 2010 Ford Expedition unit, a 2007 Jet Rotor unit, a 2003 T-Rex HR-16 unit, a gas-powered Ingersoll Rand air compressor model 10FGT, and a 1990 International truck tractor as surplus and authorizing disposal by auction through Renee Bates Auctioneers Incorporated. Mr. Wolf.
Yes, Mayor, Council, thank you. This is a motion that would declare certain property that we now own surplus, and it would authorize their disposal by auction. These are items of equipment in various departments that were used by various departments. They've reached their useful life. They have now since been replaced with council approval with other newer items of equipment, vehicles. And rather than trade it in, we have found over time that we do better with an auction. We get more during the course of an auction. It seems people start bidding on it, and the bids go up. So we've done very well with the auction type recovery of secondhand equipment.
That's good.
All right, do I have a motion?
Motion.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Item 13B, discussion and possible action regarding an annexation petition by Dan Creel on behalf of Ben Nevis West LTD for a 1.285 acre tract of land lying in the Claiborne West Survey, abstract number 27, Orange County, Texas, being out of and a part of that called 2.5 acre tract of land described in an instrument to JMJR Investments LLC of record and clerk's file 329200 of the official public records of Orange County, Texas. Mr. Knopf.
Yes, sir. This is the action item on the annexation request that you had the public hearing on. This is not the actual annexation ordinance. This would be, you have a choice whether or not to grant the petition. If you grant the petition, then we will take the item to the Planning and Zoning Commission and get a recommendation for the zoning on that. And then once that's done, we will bring the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation for the zoning as well as the annexation petition back to you for your consideration. So just because you're granting the petition, does not mean that you're automatically annexing the property. This begins the process to annex the property.
All right.
So moved. Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 13C, consider a motion to approve the use of the online payment method provided by the payment group for municipal court payments. Ms. Zito.
Yes, this is a motion to approve a new payment option for our municipal court for defendants. The new court administrator, Loretta Warnell, has expressed a need for this because right now defendants either have to send in their payments by mail or they have to go to court. They have to go actually to our building. So she's researched companies. She talked to other court administrators. She really did her homework. And she found this company. It's the payment group, TPG. And she found them to be reputable, reliable, and she verified with Mike, the IT, that is compatible with our municipal court software.
Okay.
She found that implementing this type of payment form, the number of payments collected goes way up. They pay quicker. City gets more money. And it's also saves our staff time because the payments are automatically applied through the software. So it helps out there. Locally, Vider and Port Arthur already use this particular company and they're very pleased.
Oh,
They said probably about 40% of their payments now go through this online system.
it's more convenient.
So I would recommend, if you so choose, that we partner with this and allow our defendants to have an additional form of payment.
Are they competitive
agree.
on their processing fees?
There's no fees.
There's no
They
fees?
collect the fee from the defendant. There's no charge to
Oh,
the city
wow.
whatsoever.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All right, have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 13D, consider a motion acknowledging receipt of the quarterly investment report for the period ending December 31st, 2018. Ms. Zito.
Yes, this is the first quarter report for December 31st. Since we switched to our sweep account, the city's done very well. Last quarter, we had about 22,000 in interest earnings. This quarter alone, we had 62,000. So it's doing very well. We still have our CD at 247,000 with First Financial. Right now, we have checking. We have 8,160,000 in our checking accounts. Checking accounts at Wells Fargo are earning 0.75%. And in our money market sweep account, we have 10,792,000, and that's what's earning 2.5. In the beginning, we've taken a very conservative approach because we wasn't sure how it was going to work. Was it going to hold our money up? Were we going to have any problems? So we set a $5 million stop limit. So they only sweep anything over $5 million. So as we're seeing this is working well, we're not having any problems. In the future, we're probably going to lower that limit, so we'll be able to earn more.
Good.
And this money market account earns roughly, really close to the same as a pool investment, a municipal pool, without the work.
Right.
The bank does it automatically. So that's our investment report.
Good job.
Thank you. I have a
Thank you.
motion.
Good job.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we'll have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Ms. Chisholm, you see what happens when you give us this book? It's already working. I mean, you know, I can't wait to bring this home. Maybe it'll work for my finances, right? I'm gonna give this to my wife and say, now hold it for a few minutes and let's go check our online account.
Oh, you're gonna get it.
Item 13E, consider a motion acknowledging, 13E, consider a motion acknowledging receipt of the Orange Economic Development Corporation financial report for the quarter ending December 31st, 2018. Ms. Zito.
Yes, this is a report
Same.
I gave earlier to the EDC board.
Yes, ma'am.
If you would like me to go over it again, I can.
No, it's
A
not
motion
necessary.
accepted as
No,
is.
we're good.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 13F, consider a motion acknowledging receipt of the Orange Economic Development Corporation investment report for the quarter ending December 31st, 2018. Ms. Zito.
Yep, this is the same that EDC's investment report.
A motion we accept it as is.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 13G, discussion and possible action regarding necessary business resulting from Hurricane Harvey. Mr. Knopf.
There's nothing to discuss tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knopf. Item 14, reports, our interim city manager report.
There will be a public meeting, that's Tuesday, January 29th, at 5:30 at the library meeting room, just to get the public's input on the idea of a sports complex, an outdoor sports complex for the community. This is their opportunity to come and tell us what they think of it, or offer ideas or suggestions, and it's similar to what we did with the 16th Street public meeting and everything, but this one is on an outdoor sports complex. So we certainly want the public to know that it's next Tuesday, January 29th at 5:30.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
This is not in reference to that, but I need to ask you this before I forget. What's the final date of application for election?
Final date of applications
Final date of
for
the
city
applications
council?
For city council.
February 15th?
February 15th.
Okay, thank you.
Anderson?
So
Yeah,
it's
February
29
15th.
29 days, 30 days.
15th deadline.
And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. All right, city council report, starting to my right.
Thank everybody for coming, you guys especially. Hope y'all have learned something about how to manage a city. We hope that you come back. Thank everybody else for coming. Blessings and prayers for Councilman Bill Mello and his family. Please remember them in your prayers. Let's see, there was one more thing that I wanted to do, so Brad couldn't do it. I'm going to pass, Brad. It's up to you.
I just want to say I miss Bill Mello's smile. Y'all please say a prayer for him. He's a valuable member of what we do up here. He's been doing this a long time. We need him back. We need him better than he was before. But when you see a smile, man never frowns. He's always smiling.
I just want to thank everybody, and of course, we're going to keep Bill in our prayers. I'm good friends with his sister, so I check on him every day, and he's doing much better. So just keep him in the prayers and keep us all in your prayers. Thank you.
Can I ask the troop leader to please stand up and tell us something about the troop?
Well, you have a mixed group here. These two young men here from Troop 1, which runs out of St. Mary's, we're the oldest group in the district. We're about to turn 100 years old in 2023. So, on the other end, he was a Cub Scout with us, but he's now with Troop 23, which is out of the First Baptist. So he split up from us, but we still hang out together. The boys
Wonderful.
are here to complete part of their communication merit badge.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you guys a
Thank
round.
you.
Yes, we did.
It's wonderful.
With that being said, before we go to Mr. Birch, is there anything one of you guys want to say anything?
Do you have a copy of the badge? What's the badge look like? Is it going to be us on the badge?
No, but I guess we could like start offering a Orange City Council badge.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Let's make that happen. Yes. Let's make that happen.
Yes.
Can we back up a second? I'm an Eagle Scout. I just found my award last week when I was going through some flooded product. I found my award.
All right. Oh, I didn't know that, Brad.
Yeah.
Well, I know if I ever get in trouble, I'm gonna hang out with you then. All right, Mr. Birch. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Burnett.
Go ahead.
I too want to thank everybody for being here as well. And we need to remember Bill as well.
Please remember Bill.
Yeah.
I just want to say, there was an MLK gala that was recently held, and I want y'all to know that our very own Mayor Larry Spears, he won Man of the Year. Yes, and he deserves it because he's been doing a lot of great things, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you, Ms. Salter. Well, she took my thunder again. I'm not gonna let her steal that anymore. But no, once again, like everyone said, thank you all for coming to the Boy Scouts. We really appreciate you. Hope to see you again soon. Once again, Ms. Chisholm, thank you for the book. I look forward to reading it. Also to talk about the MLK Gala. It was a wonderful event. One of my favorite quotes is actually my Facebook background, and it was by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And it says, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But by all means, keep moving. And that's exactly the motto that we are pushing here in 2019. We ended off with a great bang, and here we are starting off with 2019. We have to keep moving forward. So to each and every one of you, keep pushing with us, keep praying with us, and keep believing. And so with that being said, I will now adjourn this meeting to closed executive session. So if you are not a part of City Council or staff, you are welcome to hang out in the library or outside of the City Council quarters. And we will reopen once we're finished.
You have to read it.
Oh, I have to read it? Okay. Deliberation with city attorney pursuant to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. Deliberation regarding personnel matters as authorized by subsection 551.074. Presentation by SGR regarding city manager search process.